easily go down in history as the greatest achievement we've ever had. Let's celebrate.
Woo! Am I good or am I good? Just call me religion, baby.
When Jesus had finished saying all these things, he said to his disciples, "As you know, the Passover is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified." Then the chief priests and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they all plotted to arrest Jesus in some sly way and kill him. But not during the feast, they said, or there may be a riot amongst the people.
Tradition, pride, and power. Very tempting. Convincing. I just encouraged their desire to be seen and heard and followed. They wanted control. I gave it to them. I just love taking a group of like-minded people, putting them together and using them for my own motives. It's the best way to manipulate people and provoke the views of some while degrading those of others.
Those who had arrested Jesus took him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the teachers of the law and the elders had assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance right up to the courtyard of the high priest. He entered and sat down with the guards to see the outcome. The chief priests and the whole Sanhedrin were looking for false evidence against Jesus so they could put him to death. But they did not find any, though many false witnesses came forward. Finally, 2 came forward and declared, "This fellow said, 'I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days.'" Then the high priest stood up and said,
"Blasphemer! Trying to change our religion? Ain't gonna happen here, buddy. We like it just the way it is."
Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people came to the decision to put Jesus to death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor.
Deception? How did you get Judas to betray Jesus? I thought they were close friends.
Easy. I watched him steal from the money pouch regularly. Heck, I even helped him do it. He's a cheat, a fraud, a double dealer. He works for me and he loves money. It's like a drug. He had to have it. I knew that he would jump at the chance to make a buck. After all, it's the root of all evil.
But how'd you get 600 soldiers to come to the garden?
I scared them into it. I stirred up a frenzy, made them think Jesus was a real threat. The only problem we encountered was when he claimed to be the I am. Everybody hit the deck. That made us hold on.
Then one of the 12, the one called Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 silver coins. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me." They were very sad and began to say to him one after the other, "Surely not I, Lord." Jesus replied, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go just as it is written about him. But woe to that man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had not been born." Then Judas, the one who had betrayed him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi." Jesus answered, "Yes, it is you." While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd, armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him." Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greeting, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Friend, do what you came for."
And then you got Judas to kill himself?
Again, it was easy. It was so easy. I guilted him. I left him no hope.
When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 silver coins to the chief priests and the elders. "I have sinned," he said, "for I have betrayed innocent blood." "What is that to us?" they replied. "That's your responsibility." So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then, when he went away and hanged himself, the chief priests picked up the coins and said, It is against the law to put this money into the treasury, since it is blood money. So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. And that is why it is called the Field of Blood to this day.
You sure did Peter in fear. It's hard to believe that even though his master told him that he would deny him, and he swore he never would, you got him to do it anyways. That's amazing.
That's why it was so easy.
Louder.
That's why I did. It was so easy. I just... Penny... What? It was dark. I love looking in the dark. I just scared the pants off of him by threatening impending danger, fright, panic, horror, dread, and death and imprisonment. It was easy. That's why I did it so easy. It was so much fun. I could not just do it once. I wanted to show you know who we had the upper hand on things down here. Every time I baited the hook, he bit. In fact, I bet I could have gotten him to deny at least three more times.
He's great at putting his foot in
He's great at putting his foot in his mouth.
Yeah.
Then Jesus told them, "This very night you will fall away on account of me, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter replied, "But if all fall away on account of you, I never will." "I tell you the truth," Jesus answered, "this very night, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. But Peter declared, "Even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you." And all of the other disciples said the same.
I just love it when they make promises they can't keep.
Now Peter was sitting out in the courtyard, and the servant girl came to him. "You also were with Jesus of Galilee," she said. But he denied before them all. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Then he went out to the gateway, where another girl saw him and said to the people, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." He denied it again with an oath, "I don't know the man." After a little while, those standing there went up to Peter and said, "Surely you are one of them, for your accent gives you away." Then he began to call down curses on himself, and he swore to them, "I don't know the man." Immediately a rooster crowed. Then Peter remembered the word Jesus had spoken, "Before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." He went outside and wept bitterly.
Lazy. The way you got those disciples to fall asleep over and over again, I just can't believe it.
I know. Humans, always taking care of the flesh. Man, we got him there, don't we, guys? Me. It's all about me. Those selfish suckers. We got him. You know, that night, I made sure that there was no wind, no mosquitoes, and I found some memory foam needles for those disciples to fall asleep. And they were tired, and they were sluggish. I distracted them from you-know-who. Yes! But you know what also? Greedy had their tummies full, didn't you?
Well, when you live on a diet of bread and water, a little treat strokes the appetite. Now I made sure they had plenty of food that night. The lust of the eyes, I like to call it. I use their eyes for everything. Make it look good. Better eat it while you can. It's like they have to have it, you know? It's like a magnet. They're drawn to satisfy themselves. I work with Buddy Deception here.
Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee along with him. He began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but your will." Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. "Could you men not watch for me for an hour?" he asked Peter. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, again he found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, "Are you sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise up. Here comes my betrayer."
Angry. What happened to the whole ear thing?
Peter was so explosive and irate. I thought we could use his impulsiveness to our advantage. Gosh, I just love that guy. He gives me plenty of opportunities to work my magic. I was hoping they would stir up lots of trouble so that we would all be arrested. How did I know you know who would put Malik's ear back on? Yeah, and when you know who mentioned the 12 legions of angels, I started to have second thoughts about what we were doing. I didn't want to blow the whole plan. It wouldn't have been pretty. We'd have been a little outnumbered. Thankfully, he never called them down.
Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put your sword back in its place," Jesus said to him, "for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Do you think I cannot call my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way?"
Confusion, envy. You are eloquent. Do you want me to call down to release the king of the Jews? No, not him. Give us Barabbas.
I stirred up the crowd a little, didn't I? They were getting rid of their little problem that was festering under their skin. It was like a concert. Their chanting was so loud, so gullible, so ignorant.
They thought anything could do. They chose the murder over the savor, or for me.
Now it was the governor's custom at the feast to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew it was out of envy that they'd handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judge's seat, his wife sent him a message. "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the 2 do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called Christ?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." When Pilate saw he was getting nowhere, but instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "Let his blood be on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed over to be crucified.
It's easy to twist the truth. I do it all the time. I make it seem so close to right, you can't tell it's wrong. You convince yourself it's okay. You say, "Go ahead." I always make everyone believe they can be better than everyone else. I help them think they can be their own God.
Meanwhile, the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. I have spoken openly to the world, Jesus replied. I always taught in synagogues or at the temple where the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said. When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby struck him in the face. Is this the way you answer the high priest, he demanded. If I said something wrong, Jesus replied, testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me? Pilate called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, you brought me this man as one who is inviting the people to rebellion. I have examined him in your presence and found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us, as you can see. He has done nothing to deserve death. Pilate went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, are you the king of the Jews? Is that your own idea, Jesus asked, or did others talk to you about me? Am I a Jew? Pilate replied. Is that it was your people and your chief priests who handed you over to me. What is it you have done? Jesus said. My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jews. But now my kingdom is from another place. You are a king then, said Pilate. Jesus answered, you are right in saying I am a king. In fact, for this reason I was born. And for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me.
Hey, you dirty dog, you tortured the guy?
Yes! Oh, yes! And it was good. Those guards wanted to show how strong and mean and accurate they were. Those Romans are real animals when it comes to torture. Abuse is their middle name. Oh, and I brought out the worst in them. I made them loathe and despise him. Made it seem as though he deserved what he got. And they tried to wear him down. It went on for hours and hours. The guy was pretty bloody by the time we were through with him. We gave him the royal treatment!
When the governor's soldiers took Jesus to the praetorium, they gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand and knelt in front of him and mocked him. Hail, King of the Jews, they said. They spit on him and then took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to be crucified.
Don't we work great together?
Yes! An awesome team. Yes!
That's why we did it so well.
Yes, and we knew everything about the enemy.
We had a great strategy.
We executed the master's plan flawlessly.
Yes!
You know what they say.
Divide
And conquer!
I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me will have life, even after dying. Everyone who has life in me and believes in me will never, ever die. Do you believe me?